Welcome to the Billionaire Mindset, your 30-day journey to thinking like a billionaire. Now you can just watch this video, or if you want to sign up for the entire series for free and get the bonus PDF companion calendar, check the link in the description below. Today is day 30, and we're going to learn the must-read books that billionaires say you have to pick up. Enjoy.
Did you surround yourself with mentors? Who did you look to for advice?
I read a lot of books and talked to lots of people. I didn't have any one person who was a mentor, but I always look for feedback from people around me and feedback from an historical context, which is books basically. Mm-hmm. So that's
any book stand out as something that was like something that you really relied upon, or?
Well,
are they just general business books, or?
I didn't read actually very many general business books, but I liked biographies and autobiographies. I think those are pretty helpful. So I like, and actually a lot of them aren't really business. Although, like something like Franklin's, both his autobiography and say the biography that's recently been written by well, not that recently, but in, I guess 5 or 10 years ago, whenever it was written, the biography by Isaacson on Franklin is really good. And you can sort of see how he kind of, because he was an entrepreneur. I mean, he sort of started from nothing. Actually, just like a runaway kid, basically, and created his printing business, and just sort of how he went about doing that, and then over time, he also did science and politics. So that, I would say certainly he's one of the people I most admire. Like Franklin's pretty awesome. But then I think it's also worth reading books on scientists and engineers. Tesla, obviously.
Did you hear about that Tesla museum that they're having built now?
Yeah, I actually contributed some funding to save the land.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That was a very cool thing that Oatmeal did.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I like the way that they put it too. It's like, let's have a goddamn Tesla museum. Yeah. I like biographies in general. Biographies, I think, are really always really interesting read.
What did you learn from them?
Well, I think you learn a lot depending upon whose life you're reading about. There are lots of lessons in there. I read Isaacson's biography of Jobs, which I thought was quite interesting, and I actually really liked his biography of Benjamin Franklin, who I would say is certainly one of my heroes. He seemed like a really great guy. Basically, I sort of was thinking about this when I was a kid, and trying to find some meaning in life, like what's the meaning of life, I got quite sort of sad about it actually when I was a teenager, and then I read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which basically said like basically the universe is the answer, and you just need to figure out the questions. So I think that's if I can help kind of figure out the questions. Then that I consider that to be meaningful.
I've always liked reading biography, but since the computer's changed my life, I now find myself playing bridge on the computer about 10 hours a week, and unfortunately, I didn't want to give up sleep or eating, or Berkshire, so the reading has been kind of light. On investment books, if you're asking about that, I would recommend the first two books that Phil Fisher wrote. Back around 1960, Common Sense and Uncommon Profits, and the second one. They're very good books. I obviously recommend first and foremost The Intelligent Investor, with chapters 8 and 20 are the ones that you really should read. Two of all of the important ideas in investing really are in that book, because there's only about 3 ideas, and those two of them are emphasized in those 2 chapters. Actually, I think John Train's Money Masters is an interesting book.
During the shutdown, I had extra time to read. Here are 5 books that I highly recommend. The Choice by Dr. Edith Eger. It's a hell of a story. The woman was a 16-year-old girl in Auschwitz. She eventually does survive and gets out and moves to Texas and becomes this inspirational therapist. And half the book is her story, half is how she helps other people. When somebody traumatizes you, the way you think about yourself and your happiness and how you relate to the world, you can't control being a victim, but you can control your victimhood. It's kind of a hopeful story, but it's a very tough story. Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. It's such an unusual book, and it's clever. You go through 6 different epochs in history where you have people making moral choices, where you see how self-centered and bad people can be and how supportive and good people can be. You really do feel he captures these different worlds. It's a grand story about human nature, enduring human values. The Ride of a Lifetime by Bob Iger. It's hard to overstate how demoralized and messed up Disney was. Things weren't in great shape when they got rid of Eisner. And I do consider it brilliant of Iger that in an age where networks are not important and you're going to have to go direct to consumer, that you've got to have a critical mass of the greatest content. He did a really good job of explaining what the job of the CEO is. The Great Influenza by John Barry. He explains how infections work and how the immune system works. The 1918 Spanish flu is the first world epidemic where it basically hits the entire world. At the same time, the world was faced with this challenge. They tried to come up with drugs or therapeutics. None of those efforts were successful. Distancing and masks and seeing who's coughing, that was all they had. If you read this, you will understand a lot. Good Economics for Hard Times by Abhijit Banerjee and Esther Duflo. This is the most important book of the group because it really is about what do we know in the field of economics that can take the current divisions and try and do better. It's global, but it's mostly about the US. But it's addressing the big issues of the day about people in depressed areas. How can we be so rich and so many people feel a lack of purpose? Why aren't we better with economic knowledge of creating more opportunities? If you want to solve these problems, there's a lot still to learn. John Brooks is an unbelievable business writer. He's probably my favorite, and it's too bad so many people haven't had a chance to hear about him and the great work he did.
He loved stories with vivid characters. Venal, bumbling, brilliant, you name it, he loved them.
He was a novelist at heart, and he found a lot of good stories in Wall Street.
Warren Buffett gave me a copy of Business Adventures, feeling like with our dialogue about trying to understand the world of business, that I'd enjoy it as much as he had. And in fact, it was phenomenal.
Oh, I knew he'd like it. I mean, that was written for him. It was written for me, too. If you're going to run a company, you should read the Impacted Philosophers. I mean, when you learn how really probably pretty decent people start behaving in bad ways, that's fascinating.
He talks about these people in GE who would wink when they would actually say what the rule book said to do. Now remember, you cannot talk to our competitors about this, wink, which is essentially saying, go talk to them.
But he makes it come alive in a particular way. He makes it come alive as comedy because he understands that most of the time, if you look closely enough, the motives of the people involved are as short-sighted and self-seeking as all other human motives, and that's the material of comedy.
Ford Motor Company was super successful. They introduced a car called the Edsel, and they spent more money on picking the name and planning the features than had ever been spent on any new American product. And yet, it was an abysmal failure.
Ford counted on selling at least 200,000 Edsels the first year. There may be an aborigine somewhere in a remote rainforest who hasn't yet heard that things failed to turn out that way. I just loved that line.
And yet, in a way, the Edsel wasn't so bad. It embodied much of the spirit of its time, or at least of the time when it was designed, early in 1955. It was clumsy, powerful, dowdy, gauche, well-meaning, a de Kooning woman.
I think you can read this book today and learn a lot.
All the work of Michael Lewis comes directly from Brooks.
I mean, he really was the Michael Lewis of his day.
The rules of running a great business, value creation, are unchanged. And Brooks took some very dramatic examples that are particularly fun and interesting and instructive.
I started Bridgewater out of a 2-bedroom apartment in 1975, and I've brought it to where it is now. According to Fortune, it's the 5th most important private company in the United States. It's been successful, it's been good, and that my objective at this particular stage is to help others be successful without me. I learned along the way certain principles. Every time I would make a decision, I would write down the reasons I would make that decision. And I put them out, I debated them, and I developed these principles. So think about principles as just being these reasons for making a decision. If you're in this situation, how do you deal with it? It was also very important to me to operate in a very unusual way that seemed very sensible to me, and it's an idea meritocratic way. So I want to describe Bridgewater as being an idea meritocracy. In other words, a real idea meritocracy, which I'll explain and show to you. So a real idea meritocracy in which the goals are meaningful work and meaningful relationships. Meaningful work, I mean you're on a mission, that you feel you're on a mission together to do those great things. And meaningful relationships, meaning that you care about each other, it's part of a community, and to be on that mission together. And that was really great in terms of our success, but it was meaningful work and meaningful relationships through radical truthfulness and radical transparency. That means literally people saying anything that they feel that they want to say, in terms of being polite, of course, but sharing what they really believe is true and working themselves through to have an idea meritocratic way, and to literally record everything for everybody to hear. So I mean, literally, there are a combination of videos and tapes of all meetings that happen, so that nothing is hidden. Because you can't have a real idea meritocracy if you can't see things yourself. And so it's a very unusual place, and it was really the basis of our success. And I want to explain that way of operating to you, because this idea meritocratic way, in which there's meaningful work and meaningful relationships through radical truthfulness and radical transparency, so that you could have thoughtful disagreement and have ways of getting past that disagreement to then move on, like a legal system, that has been the key to our success. So that's what I want to try to convey to you. And I'm just going to take a few minutes to try to go through a few slides to give you a sense of this. You know, I wanted big, audacious goals. I wish big, audacious goals for you. Go after your goals, and on your way to your goals, you're going to encounter your problems and your failures. Right? That's going to happen. Otherwise, you just go straight to your goals. No, that's the learning process. You encounter your failures. Failures is part of the learning process. From the failures, what I found was great is I started to think of failures as lessons. I started to think of them as puzzles rather than develop emotional reactions to those failures. I started to think pain plus quality reflection would give me progress. So I started to think of almost the failures like puzzles, that if I could study the puzzles was, what would I do differently in the future that wouldn't produce that problem again when it happened? So, and then I would reflect, well, what was that would be my principles. What would I do differently in the future? If I solved that puzzle, I would get a gem. And the gem was principle, a principle to handle it better in the future, because failure is a learning process. It's an essential part of the learning process. If you can realize that and you write down those principles, write them down, it's been fantastic. So I learned those principles, and then it would help me improve, and then I would go on to more audacious goals. And I look at evolution, personal evolution, almost every evolution of a company, evolution of everything, as being this constant looping process that I sort of think of as this 5-step process, right? In other words, to be successful, you have to do 5 things. First, you have to know what your goals are and go after those goals. Be clear on your goals. And you will encounter problems on the way to those goals. Those will be your barriers, okay? They're your tests now. Don't just emotionally complain. Think about them as your problems. You have to diagnose those problems to the root cause, to get at the root cause. And that root cause might be yourself, what you're doing wrong, or what somebody else is doing wrong. So you can't depersonalize it. You have to really look at it so that you make those changes. And when you get at that root cause, only by knowing that root cause can then you design a way to get around that root cause. Like if you're not good at something yourself, it's okay if you find somebody else who's good at the things that you're not good at, because nobody can be good at everything, right? So, but you have to do that. You just can't keep banging yourself in the wall. So you have to design something that's practical to get around with it, and then you have to follow through and do it. A lot of people come up with designs, but you have to do the thing that's necessary. And by trying that thing that's necessary, again, you will find out, are you getting to your goals, or you'll encounter your next set of problems, and so on. And that, I believe, is the first personal evolutionary process that has helped me. Those rules that I was able to write down, and that you can get in this book, Principles, which is why I'm passing them along, those rules, we were actually able to then to put into algorithms and build decision-making processes that replicate the brain. We'll get into that in a minute. Okay, so in order to be successful in the markets, one has to be an independent thinker. In order to be an entrepreneur, one has to be an independent thinker and bet against the consensus and be right. Because the consensus in the markets is built into the price. Whatever anybody thinks, that's built into the price. So you have to think, you have to bet against the consensus. And you're going to be wrong a fair amount of times about betting against the consensus. But in any case, you need to be an independent thinker. And for an entrepreneur, you need to be an independent thinker, because you're inventing new stuff, you're doing something, and you don't know if you're right. So in order for me to be successful, I needed to have a bunch of independent thinkers in order to have them be effective. Okay, well, now how are you going to get this bunch of independent thinkers to agree on anything? Okay, I had to have an idea meritocracy. In other words, I had to have a system that literally systematically allows for thoughtful disagreement so that these idea meritocratic people could then get at the right answer, because that's fantastic. If you can have that thoughtful disagreement to get at the right answer, it's very powerful. By having that and then systemizing it, principled systems, a system for having thoughtful disagreement, for an idea meritocracy, we could produce greater amounts of successes. We also produced failures, but we would look at that way, produce our learnings, and that produced, as a result, happy employees who really believe in this idea meritocratic thing and own the company, intellectually and otherwise own the company. And we had happy employees. And then it became easier to attract those types of people who believe that, everybody has the right to make sense of things and that there's a power in thoughtful disagreement. And that allowed us to attract more people. And that was the basis of going from the 2-bedroom apartment to Bridgewater now.
In 2012, I did a Business Week cover story on Elon, and we got along pretty well. I got to spend a bunch of time with him, going through the SpaceX factory. We went to movie premieres and all this stuff, and the companies were very interesting, and Elon was much more interesting than I'd given him credit for before the story. I'd sort of pegged him as just like a one-note techno-utopian kind of guy, and he turned out to be this great interview. He didn't have PR handlers around him, so you had access to him, and he would answer just about anything you asked him. And so I decided then, this is a guy I really want to write about, and I'd been looking for a book to do. And so after I did the story, a couple months went by, and then I started to feel Elon out about doing a book, and I think I either sent him an email or called him on the phone, and I said, this is what I want to do. And he said, look, a bunch of people have asked me in the past, and I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna help you do the book. And then I went to New York and I sold the book anyway. And I thought I would sort of force his hand a little bit. And then I arranged another meeting with him, and I'll never forget, it was on a Saturday at Tesla, and I came in, I was like, look, I've sold the book, and he said, I'm still not gonna cooperate with you. And so I spent like 18 months interviewing hundreds of people. I found like all these SpaceX and Tesla employees, most of whom had left, all the Zip2, PayPal people that he'd worked with, his ex-girlfriends, his like childhood friends, and all that stuff. And then, you know, a lot of those people would call back to Elon and say, should I speak to him or not? And he was a pretty good sport about it. There's nobody that he told not to. And so I think that happened enough times that after about 18 months of doing it, I was at home. It's like 6:30 at night on a weekday, and up on my caller ID, it was just Elon Musk. And I picked up the phone, and he said, look, I can basically, this is going to go one of two ways. I can shut down all these people that call me and ask whether, you know, I should let them talk to you, or I could cooperate with the book. And I was like, obviously, you should choose option number B, or option B. And then we set up a meeting to talk about it. He wanted to have some control over it initially. He wanted to be able to read the book before it came out, and then he wanted to put footnotes in the book. And if you like know anything about Elon, that would mean, you know, the footnotes would be longer than the book, and that the book would probably never be published. And so I kind of pushed back on him on that. I had this huge speech prepared, and I got like 5 minutes into it, and he just said, okay. And yeah, to his credit, after that, he gave me access to everybody I wanted, and then he agreed to have a meeting with me, you know, once a month, he said, for as long as it took. It ended up being about 8 months, and we would have like 3, 4, 5 hour dinners.
What is it like to spend a few hours a month interviewing Elon Musk?
It was really fun. At the beginning, it was nerve-wracking because I never knew how many of these interviews I would actually get, even though he had agreed to it. I always sort of thought, you know, he might do one, and then he'd be like, okay, that's enough. and then I thought, you know, he might get sick of it after a while and just cut me off. So each one, it was sort of like, felt like an accomplishment. You know, but then it was frustrating because the first 4, I was getting lots of useful stuff, but nothing that was, I could tell he was still holding back a bit, and he was repeating a lot of stories that, if you kind of watch Elon's speeches and other talks, that you would have heard before. And so that was frustrating. And then I'm still not sure exactly what happened, but around the 4th meeting, you know, we used to always do the same thing. We would get there. He eats really late, so it'd be like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and we would go a few times till just everybody had left. And it was kind of one of those things. There was like hardly anybody there. And it was like a switch kind of flipped. I think he'd sort of really committed to doing it, and he became much more relaxed and easygoing.
I think every moment in the history of business, every moment in the history of technology happens only once. The next Mark Zuckerberg will not be building a social networking site. The next Larry Page will not be building a search engine. The next Bill Gates will not be building an operating system company. If you're copying these people, in some sense, you're not learning from them. And this is why I think there is no science to business. Science starts with the number 2. It starts with things that are repeatable and you know, experimentally verifiable in one way or another. Whereas I think every great company is one of a kind. And the question, how do you get from 0 to 1? And so the starting point for my book, 0 to 1, is this sort of anti-formulaic approach. And to take this question of singularity and uniqueness very as the central question. And I try to get at it through a variety of sort of contrarian questions. What great business is nobody building? Tell me something that's true that nobody agrees with you on. These are often quite hard questions to answer because we think it's hard to come up with some new truth, or it often requires courage because you often have to go against conventional wisdom in one way or another. I think that if you're a founder or entrepreneur, what you want to aim for is monopoly. You want to aim to build a company that is one of a kind and that it's so far differentiated from the competition that it's not even competing. And I think this is the conventional wisdom is always that capitalism and competition are somehow synonyms. I believe they're antonyms. A capitalist is someone who's in the business of accumulating capital. A world of perfect competition is a world where all the profits are competed away. If you want to compete like crazy, then you should just open a restaurant in Chicago. And I think the great companies like Google, which is sort of the paradigm example I use, has had no serious competition in search since 2002, when it definitively distanced itself from Yahoo and Microsoft. And as a result, it's been generating enormous cash flows for the last 12 years.
.com Secrets is the book. If you're not reading, you're not growing. Okay, it's impossible. You got to read something. Warren Buffett says he spends most of his time reading. So every Tuesday, I want to bring you a book review. The name of the book is .com Secrets. There's a foreword by Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy is known as like one of the wizards of online marketing, okay? Now, in this book, we're going to be talking about the secret formula, the value ladder, from a ladder to a funnel. Just literally reading some of the titles that Russell uses in the book has helped me figure out, hey, how am I going to start like thinking with this? See, once you take somebody that's got a commitment like you have and like I have and add a little bit of strategy to it, I guarantee you're going to figure out with this book, .com Secrets, you're going to figure out how to build click funnels that actually turn into profits for you, okay? How to find your dream customer. I'm interested. 3 types of traffic. Wow. What are they? I didn't know there was 3 types of traffic, okay? Your communication funnel. Now that makes sense to me because every communication, I got people watching me on Facebook or Snapchat or YouTube or in my email lines or out there at the street corner or maybe it's at the bank. These are different types of customers and I might have to be a different type of person for them. I might have to tell a different type of story, whether I'm talking to somebody about my real estate or I'm trying to get a loan for something or I'm trying to sell a $995 product. Those are all different stories and I need to be sure that I understand who's presenting and who's listening, the attractive character, the soap opera sequence, okay? Got my attention. Daily Seinfeld sequence. And Kern and all these guys, Kennedy, Brunson, they all talk about in these terms. Reverse engineering, a successful funnel, 7 phases of a funnel, 23 building blocks of a funnel, front end and back end funnel. It's the best bait. You need bait, man. You gonna catch a customer? You need some bait. 2-step free plus shipping, self-liquidating offers, continuity, the perfect webinar. I know something about webinars. I'll teach Russell Brunson something about a webinar or two. Invisible funnel webinars, product launches. This is what these guys all tell me. And Russell's told me, Grant, you work too hard, buddy. I said, what? You got my attention now, boy? He says, you work too hard, man. He talks in his book, the .com Secrets, the old media versus the new media. It used to be direct mail, then email, networking, then Facebook, TV, then YouTube. By the way, YouTube now has more views over can you check out the number? Yesterday it hit some freaking phenomenal number. Radio to podcasts, newspaper to blogs. The world's changing. And this book is going to show you how to change with it. All right. Now, the first thing I want to tell you about is secret number 1 in the book. I'm recommending everybody go out and get Russell Brunson. Russell's going to be with me at the 10X Growth Con speaking. What day is he speaking with me at the 10X Growth Con? March 17th, 18th, and 19th. I'm bringing Russell in. And I said, Russell, man, you gotta go over this secret formula. The who, the where, the bait, and the result. What is the result I want? Well, that's pretty easy, right? I want people to buy my product. What is the bait I'm going to use? A little more difficult. Saturday, 9 a.m., that is March 18th, Russell Brunson's coming to Miami to go over these concepts.
5 billion videos watched every day.
5 billion. YouTube has 5 billion videos watched every day, and there's many of you still not using YouTube enough to create your click funnels and support your population of people that are going to be seeing your content. The secret formula, who, where, bait. Now, what does this mean? Who is your dream client? I thought who meant who am I? No. Who is your dream client? I'm like, wow, that's good. That's good. Okay. The first question to ask yourself, who do I actually want to work with? See, most people just want to do business with anybody that'll pay them. I don't want to do that. I want to do business. I want people at the 10X Growth Con that can pay for a ticket. I want people at the 10X Growth Con that can come with money, have time, and they can add value to my life, not that just buy a ticket. So when I start clarifying this out of Russell's book, I'm like, what kind of client do I want? Do I just want a guy that's got $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000? No. Actually, what I want is a guy that is willing to pay $10,000 and bring some staff with him. I really want somebody who can spend $25,000 or $50,000 and probably has a company of 80 to 100 people back at his office that he can get on our online training program. You see, it starts clarifying, who do we really want? For Grant Cardone TV, when Robert's looking for customers, who is your dream client? Okay, Great question, man. His dream client is not somebody that's got money. His dream client is somebody that wants advertising, marketing, understands the value of YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, long-term organic storytelling right here from our offices. Our ideal client for our advertising at Grant Cardone TV would actually be somebody I've already done business with, right? I'll give you an example of an ideal client. An ideal client would be somebody I'm already doing printing with. Okay, that's maybe making our Playbook to Millions program. They do all our printing fulfillment. Okay, now that would be a smart guy to be in our studio with me and shooting ad campaigns so that I could tell them what. It would be good for them and good for me. The ideal client, dream client, would be somebody that wins as big as I win because they give me money, right? So Robert would make a list of everybody we actually give checks to, so that I could tell a story. I don't know who this guy is, right? Don't know him. You know why? Because he hadn't said, hey, Grant, you know what? Rather than giving me money, okay? Or, Grant, you keep buying the products from me, Grant, and I'll advertise with you. I like that even better. That way I can tell my public what? Mr. Printing, ABC Printing, this is who I've selected. I could go to any printer in the world. This is who I spend my money with, and that would be the ad, okay? So this says the secret formula. Who's your dream client? Number 2. Where are they, man? Now, this gets really in the neighborhood of who's got my money. But with Russell Brunson, the name of the book is .com Secrets, okay? .com Secrets. Get it today at Amazon. You don't buy it from me, you buy it at Amazon. Where can you find them? The next question in the secret formula is, where can you find this ideal man or woman? Now, it's interesting, Russell talked about the ideal man or woman. We're going to be doing on Sunday morning, I'm going to be doing an ideal life. What is your ideal life? Okay, what is your ideal customer? What is your ideal spouse? What are your ideal kids? What is the ideal thing going on? Not, there's 8 billion people on planet Earth, I just want a customer. Okay, so you got to get clear, where can I find this ideal man or woman? Where do they hang online? Are they on Facebook or Instagram? Now, this I discovered strictly out of my willingness to learn things, okay? Like I go on Snapchat. I don't know what Snapchat is. A completely different energy than Facebook, right? Even though they're owned by the same company. Completely different clientele. Maybe not. Maybe Robert's on Snapchat and he's on Facebook, but there's something about his personality that changed a little bit. I did not know that until I started playing with it. I used Instagram for almost 2 years before I even understood how to use it because something about the personality was different. So Russell's talking about, where are these people? And by the way, are they different? Number 3, what bait will you use to attract them? If you're on Facebook, what is the bait? And what is bait? Once we know where the dream customers are, we have to create the right bait to attract them. What is the right bait for Facebook, for YouTube? What is the call to action? Your bait could be a physical book, a CD, a DVD, an audio recording. Oh, by the way, why a CD or a DVD when most people aren't using CDs and DVDs anymore? Okay, I'm going to tell you, Brunson's going to tell you this, because people like hard products, okay? One mistake that my office makes a lot is we don't put things into a physical universe so that people can see the value of it. Do people really want to read this whole book? Do they want it in their office? Guess what? Just because you don't, doesn't mean some people don't. Just because you don't have a DVD player or a CD player, okay, doesn't mean people don't want to see this ticket. You get it? So people need physical products, okay? Number 4, what result do you want to give them? Once you've hooked your dream customer with the perfect bait, the last question is, what result do you want to give them? I'm not talking about what product or service you want to sell them. A business is not about products and services. A business is about the result. The problem you solve is what I talk about in Sell or Be Sold. You can get for your clients. Once you and they understand that concept, then price is no longer a barrier. Okay? So, 10X Growth Conference. What is the result I want from people? I want people to have the best experience they've ever had in their life. I want an experience so positive. 3 days you get to spend with me and 24 other speakers. I'm talking about the best speakers on the planet, one of which is Russell Brunson. These aren't just speakers, by the way. I probably demean them a bit by calling them speakers. These are people, men and women, that are in business right now making moves, okay? What do I want as a result? Number 4, what result do I want for you from being at this conference? Number 1, I want an experience that you can't wipe from your memory, okay? I want you to have an experience that will change your life forever. If you're ready for a change, I want you to come to that event and something happens before you even get there. That's what I want, okay? So who are your dream clients? Where can you find them? What bait will you use to attract them? And what result do you get? Chapter 2, Secret 2, the value ladder. Okay? Look, like my friend John Hamlin says, when value exceeds price, price is no longer an issue. If you take the value proposition, the .com Secrets Value Ladder, he talks about the free quiz as maybe something you want to give to people. Hey, I got a free quiz. Find out your credit rating. See, that is basically a free quiz, right? That's a come on to an audience to find out what's my credit, okay? So what are we selling right here? We're probably selling a credit repair or a free credit card, right? Or a mortgage. So that's what the mortgage company's doing. They're like, hey, find out about your credit, what Russell Brunson calls the free quiz. A free book. You could use a free book as the next part of the ladder. Here's a free book, could be an ebook. Third thing, invisible funnel webinar. Hey, join me on Wednesday night after they've gotten the quiz, after the book. Join me and I'll show you for free or for $69 or $49 or whatever, how you can fix your credit without spending any money. And then there's the home study event. So notice as you go up the value curve, okay, he talks about this in ClickFunnels Continuity. Probably can't see this here. Great book, folks, worth the read. I'm going to bring Russell in. He explains, what does your value ladder look like? So he's going to actually be spending time with you in March to go over this. Okay, secret 3, from ladder to funnel. Bait, front end, middle, back end. Okay, he talks about that versus the old funnel. Okay, do you use a ladder going out this way to keep customer going in, or do you build a click funnel like so many people have talked about for years? I don't know what's going on with my throat. How to find your dream customer. Who are they? Where are they? Right? Where is your target marketing congregating? Who is your target market? Is everybody a target for Grant Cardone? No. Man, if you're a much more passive, like who's my customer? Okay? My customer is going to be people that are probably a little more aggressive. Right? They can handle the language that I speak in. They want to grow their business. They're not just satisfied. Russell talks about this in here about what is your story? Okay. How do you use that story to tell a story that's acceptable to your audience? Okay. And when you change audiences, the 3 types of traffic, when you change audiences, traffic you control, traffic you don't control, and traffic you own. Okay, this is so important. Traffic you own is the best kind of traffic. Traffic you control, email ads, pay-per-clicks, banner ads, native ads, affiliates, and joint ventures. By the way, one of our affiliates made 10 grand this month already, right? So if you're not being an affiliate with me, what are you doing? Okay, Russell Brunson's got traffic already. What does he sell? He sells this information to his public. He does not sell sales training. So me and Russell could actually do something together and expand both of our list. The attractive character, and this is what I was just trying to get to. Are you the leader, the adventurer, the reporter, or the reluctant hero? Okay. What are your character flaws? What are the parables you tell? What is your backstory? What is your loss redemption? What is the us versus them? Okay. What is your before and after story? What is your amazing discovery? What are the secret telling things you do? Folks, the books is every day, every Tuesday I do this. .com secrets, okay? It's worth a read. I'm 3/4 of the way through the book right now. Loved every minute of it. I'm bringing Russell in March 18th, 17th, 18th, 19th, called the 10X Growth Con. Russell Brunson will be live to answer your questions about ClickFunnels. If you want to make more money, you got to learn how to use the Internet of Things, okay? And if you want to make more money on the Internet of Things, folks, if you're not Amazon, if you're not Apple, if you don't have unlimited budgets, like most of us don't have unlimited budgets, then you got to learn the game of the underground playbook for growing your company online. The book is .com Secrets by Russell Brunson. Hey, Grant Cardone here. If you don't know who I am, I've written 7 books. I want to tell you about one of them. In fact, I want to give you my latest book free of charge, okay? No, what's the word? No strings attached, okay? It's called the Millionaire Booklet, all right? And the reason I want to give you this book, I have a goal to give 1 million of these books away to give you information you don't have about money, okay? It is, I believe, the reason. Number one, it's my favorite book that I've written. I've written 7 books and 13 business programs. This is my favorite book of all my books. It's simple, it's easy, it's a little pamphlet, 40 pages. It will change the way you look at finances. You didn't learn this at school, you didn't learn it in college, and your mom and dad didn't teach you this. I promise you they didn't teach you this. And it is the reason why so much and so many people are in financial trouble. This book's gonna tell you 3 things you have to learn about money that even my 5-year-old and my 7-year-old know by heart. Number 1, how to make money. Most important thing, you gotta get income. You gotta figure out how to increase your income. If you got 1 job, you don't need to go get a 2nd job first. You need to figure out how to take that job that you have, that situation you're in right now, whether you like it or don't like it. I'll promise you there's always a way to create a 2nd revenue stream from that job you're in, even if it's waiting tables. See, that's my little girls right there. That's the ones that know how to do that deal already. And you need to learn how to do that deal. And by the way, money's a very, very simple topic. It's been overcomplicated by Wall Street, financial planners, accountants, and they've done it for a reason. They've complicated it for a reason. And just look at your mom and dad. You know, your mom and dad probably aren't rich. And if they are, they would agree with what I'm gonna share with you in this book. If they're real rich, not if they're middle class rich. So the second thing this book's gonna teach you is the phenomenon of saving money. It is a completely misunderstood topic. And most of it has been intentional. And I don't say that loosely or lightly, but there has been a concerted effort on this planet to convince people to save money with no real understanding of why you were saving money. The idea was, okay, you're gonna save money so you can retire one day, but the truth is, the reality is most people end up just old with some money, unable to use it. Constantly worried about saving. They don't do it, they're not successful at it, the money sits in a savings account, or worse than that, it gets pushed off to some IRA or Keogh account that they can't access or use until they're like 68 years old. So I'm gonna show you the way, the only reason to save money is so that later you can do something with it, and that's to invest. And I'm gonna lay it out in a very simple way, why you save, where you put it, how you put it away, when it's time to start making some plays, which brings me to number 3. Number 3 is how to multiply money. It is the single most important of all the 3 steps, but will not matter if you don't get number 1 and number 2 down. So look, I want to give you the book for free. Go to millionairebooklet.com or just go to the link right connected here, millionairebooklet.com/free if you can remember that, or just click the link below. I would love to hear what you were taught about money, okay? What were you taught? What weren't you taught? Were you taught it was good? Were you taught it was bad? Did anybody tell you how to save it? Did they tell you how to invest it? Did they tell you how to multiply it? Did they talk to you about multiple flows of income? Did your parents tell you couldn't be rich, or that rich people were bad? Or, hey, how about this? Did your parents tell you get rich? Because if you don't get rich, you'll never be free. Look, I want to help you, okay? I want to help you get your finances right. This is a mission that I'm on. I want to change the way you look at finances. I want to change the way you and your girlfriend, you and your boyfriend, you and your husband, you and your wife, you and your lover. I want to change the discussion that you have about money, finances, income, savings, investing, multiple flows, what it takes to actually create financial freedom. Do you even want financial freedom? I want to change the way you look at it. Are you going to buy a house, or are you going to rent it? You know, are you going to invest in a Kia? You're going to keep that money close to you where you can use it yourself. Are you going to invest money in yourself, or are you going to invest money in a stock? How much money do you need before you start investing? Is it 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000? Are you going to buy real estate that creates passive flows of income? Are you going to invest in the stock market? Are you going to be doing, you know, the new currencies? Are you going to invest in commodities? What are you going to invest in if you ever get money? Look, if you don't answer these questions, if you don't confront this topic, you're going to be confused. And if you're confused as a parent, guess what happens to those kiddos? They're going to be confused. So, look, it's my mission to help you, starting with you. I want to get 1 million of these books out. All I ask you to do is this. When you get the book, it takes 20 minutes to read this book on average. Thousands of people have already gotten the book. The average read time is about 15, 16 minutes. Read the book in 20 minutes. Second thing I ask you to do is this. Do a review on it on YouTube, okay? If you like the book, do a review on it. If you didn't like the book, if you didn't get anything new out of it, write a review. Do a little video. Do a 15, 20-second, 30-second review. Throw it up on YouTube. Call it the Millionaire Booklet Review. Like me or hate me, I'd love to hear from you. And the third thing, if you love the book, okay, I ask you to do one thing for me in the future, and this is totally on a trust basis. If you love this book, okay, if it becomes a game changer for you like I believe it will be, buy one book for me. Buy one book for me in the future and share it with someone else, okay? Look, I want to help you. Again, I want to help you. I think you can see the sincerity. I want to help you with your finances. If I had my whole career to do all over again, I would start with this program because, look, money matters. Money's important. Everybody needs it. I want to help you with it. I want to give you the information your colleges can't give you for a lot of reasons. Your teachers don't know it, otherwise they'd be doing it. Your parents didn't do it, otherwise, hey, they'd be telling you about this booklet. I wouldn't, okay?
Now I've got some special bonus clips that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the Billionaire Mindset question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? Also, if you've already got your Billionaire Mindset Companion PDF calendar, get ready for another amazing video tomorrow. Or if you don't have it yet, you can get it for free in the first line of the description below. And if you're enjoying this Billionaire Mindset series, give me a hashtag Billionaire Mindset in the comments below so I can celebrate you.
If we encounter a man of rare intellect, we should ask him what books he reads. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Today I'm going to share the 7 books every entrepreneur must read. These are 7 books that have had a tremendous impact on my life, how I think about business, and I hope they have the same impact on you. Now, I used to have a ton of books. I used to have walls and walls of books, and when I saw something interesting, I would pick it up and buy it. Somebody told me to get it, I would buy it, and I found I had all of these books just sitting on the shelves collecting dust, and I was accumulating more books than I could read, and I had great intentions to read them, but I never got around to them, and it created stress. It created stress looking at all these books and knowing I got to read all of these things. So I decided one day I would get rid of them all, and I donated them to a local library, and I pared it down, and I got to my core list of books that I read and I reread, and have given me so much value, and today I wanted to share them with you, and hopefully it transformed the way you think and transforms your business as well. Okay, well, that was awkward. Test 1 2 1 2. At number 7 is The Fred Factor by Mark Sanborn, and this is a book about delighting your customers. It tells a story about a postman named Fred who goes over and above to always delight his customers, which are the people on his route. And you think about being a postman, it could be a boring job, right? You're doing the same thing over and over and over and over again every single day. But Fred finds a way to get to know his customers, to watch over their houses when he knows they're not home or on vacation, to always look for ways to delight and surprise them. And so if you have a business where you personally are involved in dealing with customers, which will be most people, or if you have people on your team who are responsible for dealing with customers, give them this book. It's a short read. Look at that. Look how thin that is. It's like not even 100 pages. How many pages? 100 pages. Just over 100 pages. Super fast read. It'll change your mindset on how to work with customers. Pick it up. At number 6 is The Go-Giver by Bob Burg and John David Mann. This is an awesome book. Another quick read. It is, 125 pages. Pretty easy to sift through. You could probably get it through in one sitting as well. And this book is all about giving and helps change your mindset from being a taker and saying, here are my goals and I gotta go out and take what I can, to realizing that to accomplish your goals, you have to give to other people. Help others do what they're trying to do, help others accomplish their goals, and in turn, they're gonna come back and help you. And often the path to reaching your goal is totally unexpected, and it's gonna come as a result of helping other people. So it totally changed my mindset of what I needed to do in business, and not just go and try to reach and take my goals, but to help others along the path. It's an inspiring story. You can't help but feel great after reading it. You can't help but feel changed after reading it. You want to go out and make the world a better place. It's an uplifting, positive, awesome story. Coming in at number 6, go check it out, The Go-Giver. Coming in at number 5 is Donald Trump, The Art of the Deal. This is one of my favorite books because it helps you think big. One of the biggest problems with a lot of entrepreneurs is you're stuck in your current bubble, right? The environment that you create for yourself is holding you back where you are. How do you bust through? How do you think bigger? How do you go out and do something that's going to change the world where nobody in your family has ever done that before, where none of your friends have that kind of ambition? So how do you surround yourself with those kind of people? You read books like this. Now, this is one of the first, I think it's the first nonfiction book that I ever read. I remember I was driving to New York with my family. I don't know how old I was at the time, maybe teenager, driving to New York City, crossing a bridge, and I was reading Donald Trump, Art of the Deal, and it just inspired me to want to do more, to think outside my comfort zone. And this is something that you need to do as an entrepreneur if you want to accomplish big things, you want to achieve big goals. You have to believe, you got to believe that you can do it. And so how do you get that confidence when you've never done it, nobody in your family's done it, nobody in your social networks have done it? You can surround yourself with people like Donald Trump. Read this book. You will be inspired. You will be ready to take action. You'll be ready to go out and conquer big dreams. It'll give you that extra motivational boost, and you can apply it to your business. Check it out. Number 5, Donald Trump, Art of the Deal. Coming in at number 4 is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This book is awesome. It says at the top, this book could be worth $1 million to you. It's super helpful, and the main thought behind this is that thoughts are things. There's a lot of belief in this book, that whatever you have in your mind, whatever impact you want to create in the world, whatever business you want to start, it's all possible. It's all possible if you believe in yourself, and it gives you the steps to do it. And it outlines the story of Andrew Carnegie, who was at the time the richest person in America, and his lessons for success for people who are coming up, how he did it himself, his advice for other people. It'll help build your confidence. It'll help you believe in yourself. It'll help you make you ready to go out and do something positive in the world. It'll give you the confidence and courage to start or to continue, the faith, the motivation, the inspiration to keep going when you may be up against the wall and you're not seeing any progress. It's beautifully written, great advice in here. As I was opening the book before doing this video, I had the old book smell coming out at me and giving me a little bit of a headache. So I gotta brush out the book a little, air it out. It's an old book, but awesome. Definitely recommend reading it. I know entrepreneurs who read this every year as an annual ritual, and every year they take something new from it. So definitely go check it out. Coming in at number 4, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. Coming in at number 3, Keep Any Promise by Kareem Ismail. This is an awesome book, and it's divided into 2 sections, okay? Now Kareem, he came from a successful business, but he was overworked. It was causing problems in his family life. It was causing problems in his health, and he totally changed around everything that he did and replanned his life, and he gives you the blueprint for how to do it. Now, it's divided into 2 sections. The first are stories of people and how they've changed their life, and the second are exercises that you can do to start changing your business and your life. I gotta be honest, I'm gonna be honest, this is real talk. Coming straight from Evan Carmichael is what this channel is all about. The real talk is the stories in the book I found just okay. I didn't find that inspiring. I found the problems that they were overcoming weren't that huge, and I felt like I wasn't on the same level with the people who were in the book. And I want to be inspired by people who are doing more, right? Looking at Donald Trump and looking at Andrew Carnegie, people who are doing a lot more. That's who I want to be inspired by. So the stories were just okay for me, but the exercises are life-changing. That's why it's coming in at number 3. If you sit down and you do the exercises and you follow them, the ones that Kareem have laid out, it will change your life. The huge value here, they show the exercises in the book, but the big value is here in the workbook. And I hope Kareem still offers this as part of the deal. If you look here, it says, download the Life Blueprint Workbook, $149 value for free. That's the money. That, if you go through that, do those exercises, follow through on them, I guarantee you it'll change your business life, it'll change your personal life. It had a massive impact on me, and that's why I recommend it as a number 3 book, even if you've never heard of it. It's the secret gem for entrepreneurs. So go check it out, Keep Any Promise by Kareem Ismail. Coming in at number 2 is Radicals and Visionaries by Thaddeus Wawro, and the subtitle is Entrepreneurs Who Revolutionized the 20th Century. This is such an awesome book. What it does is basically tell you the stories of a whole bunch of different entrepreneurs, and each story is only, 4 pages long, 5 pages long. So I can open it up, and so here, story of Jeff Bezos. There's a picture, there's a quick quote of him, there's his story, there's these little tidbits that come out, more tidbits, story, and then you're done. So in like 4 pages, you have the history of Jeff Bezos and how he got started. And it does that over and over and over again for lots of famous entrepreneurs that you would recognize. What I found it useful for is that it was a motivational boost for me. One, I believe in modeling success. You've seen a lot of the videos that I do. It's all about modeling success. And that saved my business. And so this is a quick hit of tons of different entrepreneurs that you can model. I used it as inspiration in the mornings for me. This used to be my routine. When you wake up and you're by yourself and you're trying to challenge yourself to think bigger and do more and stay motivated to run your business, my daily routine used to consist of opening up Radicals and Visionaries and reading one story. And I'd get an idea from them, and I'd get inspiration and motivated and get some energy from them. And you can do it in a couple minutes. It's such an easy, quick read. So you'll get lots of ideas from it. You'll get lots of energy from it. Definitely worth checking out. My number 2 book, Radicals and Visionaries, Thaddeus Wawro. And coming in at number 1, the number 1 book all entrepreneurs must read. Drum roll. How do I do a drum roll? Drum roll. The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. This is my favorite book of all time. If I had to pick one book to keep, this would be it. And at the core, this book is a productivity book, okay? It'll teach you how to automate, how to delegate, how to eliminate, how to outsource, how to apply the 80-20 rule to your business, how to be more efficient, get more stuff done so that then you can go live the life of your dreams. It teaches you a lot about productivity, and since reading this book, I've become a productivity nut and have applied a lot of the strategies that Tim suggests in this book to my life, to my business, and it's had dramatic impact. The other thing though that you learn from it is Tim thinks way outside the box. And even now, a lot of the strategies here are still way outside the box. And you don't even realize that some of these things are possible. that was what I was so excited and interested in reading from him. And this is the extended and updated version. So I got the original and then I bought the updated version. And if he puts another one out, I'm gonna buy that one too because it's awesome. But it challenges you to think differently. It challenges you to step outside your comfort zone. It challenges you to look for other ways to accomplish your goal that you may not have ever thought possible. So on top of all the great productivity advice that you get and that I get from it and taking notes and read through it, it also makes you think more creatively, makes you look for other options. And as an entrepreneur, that's what you're going to have to do to be successful, because chances are it's not just going to be the straight path to success. It's going to be a crazy, wild, bumpy ride, and you can't just do the things that everybody else does. You got to be creative. You got to step outside the box. That's what this book helps you do. Tim Ferriss, 4-Hour Workweek, the #1 book for all entrepreneurs. You must read it. Now, before signing off, I got to give you my bonus book. It's the only fiction book in my collection, and I had to share it with you. Now, when people look at my bookshelf, you see the Steve Jobs quote at the top, makes sense. You see the books, I don't have a lot of them. And when they look at it, they look at the top and they say, what the heck is that Three Kingdoms book? What is it all about? And then they look below and you see this statue and you're wondering what he's all about, and those little characters underneath and what they're all about. So I have to tell you the story. So Three Kingdoms, also known as Romance of the Three Kingdoms, is one of the most popular books in China, in all of Chinese history, that has then been translated to English. And it'll teach you about leadership, it'll teach you about motivating people, teach you about having a purpose, it teaches you about honesty and trust and loyalty. And it's a story about three warring kingdoms at the end of the Han Dynasty who are fighting for control of China. One of them is led by a man named Cho, who is evil and lies and cheats and steals and does whatever it takes to win. And the people hate him, and he's very oppressive and has tons of rules and is the dictator, and his way has to go, and he's evil and cruel. And the other side is run by a guy named Liu Bei, who is fair and honest and just and treats people with respect, and people love him and they follow him, and he'll never screw people over. And these two guys are constantly fighting. And at the start, Liu Bei is losing all the time. He doesn't have the military, he doesn't have the money, he doesn't have the team, and he's always just retreating and running away. And eventually he builds up his team, and the people believe in him, and they continue to follow him, and they love what he's all about. And he starts to win. And so it's all about this fight that continues to happen between those two kingdoms and another one that's in the third that's not as talked about. But I love the story. It always gives me ideas about strategy, about loyalty, about teamwork, and I like to pick it up. I like to play the video games. I like to buy the statues that decorate the stuff. I like to name my products after them. The Zuga that I sell come from this book. Other companies that I've started have come from this book, and so it has a lot of deep personal meaning to me. And if you're looking for kind of an off-the-wall fiction book that challenges you, that will make you think, that'll be kind of outside the zone of usual entrepreneur how-to books, then check it out, Three Kingdoms.
If you want to sign up for the entire Billionaire Mindset series for free and get the companion bonus PDF calendar, check the link right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.